And we are going live. We'll see. I see live videos starting. I'm not sure if it's going live though. All right, awesome. Welcome, welcome everybody. Maria back. I missed a week. There's been a lot of stuff going on, so I had to take a quick break. So today we are talking about step 5, week 5 of the creation frequency. And basically, what this is he talks about 3 areas of focus and then a tool to utilize while you're doing this. So we'll dive into that in a little bit, and just want to make sure I have everything situated here and I can see things. I know I didn't announce this, but sometimes I don't even know if I'm going up live, so I don't even know if I can see the comments here, if at all. Where are the comments? All right. I think, they switched it around, so I have no idea. Comments, moderation. All right. All right, we'll just keep that over here, I think. Methinks. Because Facebook switched it around again. Anyway, welcome replay viewers. Thank you for joining me. We will go ahead and delve right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and start by quoting a quote that the author had brought up, and it is, he who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. And that's by Marcus Aurelius. In order for our desires to manifest, you need to be in alignment, right, with the universe. And you need to take care of the instrument through which the universe will manifest. So basically through your mind, body, heart, and soul. So imagine being in perfect resonance, or in perfect balance with the universe, just resonating in a very fluid way. Imagine what would that look like for you? You know, to do this, you would have to take, also have to take inventory of your physical body, not only your energetic bodies, but your physical body. And although you're working with your energy, your physical body has to be, it does play a part in all of this. It's your physical house, and it has to be in alignment with the universe. So the universe is essentially working through you and with you. So you have to also take that into consideration. And you cannot continue to be the same way if you're looking to make changes in your life. Now, the author, he was coming out of trying to change his life out of alcoholism, and he also did drugs. So he was definitely kind of doing it cold turkey and switching things around. And it was pretty hard for him. If you listen to the audiobook or are reading the book, you'd read that and hear that that's what his background was. So he goes into the 3 areas of focus in order to get into alignment with the universe. And he also says that with the intention alone, you will slowly start to make, actually, this is how I feel too. But with intention alone, you will slowly start making those small changes. Or you can be more proactive with it and start taking those steps in a more conscious way, just to bring your body back into alignment. So basically, I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I have everything here. So if your body is barely functioning, right, or you have, if your mind is consumed with anxiety, or your heart's filled with pain, your soul is starving for meaning, it's kind of hard to get yourself out of that. However, again, the intention alone, and just to try to keep yourself in alignment with that will slowly bring you out. It may feel like molasses at first, or that nothing's happening, but just the reminder by itself, in and of itself, will do the job and slowly bring you out of that. So if your body is barely functioning, you take those steps to get it back into balance. If your mind is consumed with anxiety, you take those actions to help with easing that anxiety in all aspects, your physical, mental, and your emotional. If your heart is filled with pain, which is from past hurts or experiences, you set the intention to heal your heart and take those action steps to do just that. And even at the smallest steps makes a big difference. Your soul, if your soul is, if you're starving for meaning, if you're needing to find a purpose in your life, you take those action steps to pursue your personal and spiritual development. The key to all this is essentially living in integrity with the universe, meaning being in alignment, being congruent with the universe. So wherever you are starting from, whether it's from the bottom or midway or wherever you are, just living in alignment or congruent with the universe, meaning you're doing your thing, you're doing your part and bringing yourself in alignment with the goal that you have in mind is what is needed to do this. So creating this for yourself and the relationship is basically essentially creating a relationship with the universe. And it's a step that many manifestation programs or techniques fail to provide. So, but I feel like we inherently know this anyway. Like we know that we have to change ourselves. It's just a lot more slow moving because we're trying to find our way or stumble our way through it. So the universe is definitely sensitive to your alignment, to your congruency, because then there's mixed signals happening, and so you don't know. So it's kind of like saying yes, no, and so the messages that we're putting out is not, it's not clear. So it's a critical piece if you want to be successful with manifesting. If you're living in a way that's fragmented or contradictory, or your loyalties are divided with your priorities, if you're enslaved with like unconscious fears and just doubts that you haven't acknowledged, you will struggle with the creation process. So, but at the very smallest level, just that intention alone will start the process. But by you knowing exactly what to address and what aspects to work on, it'll help you along a lot more and make things happen more faster. So before going into these manifestation techniques, you need to be sure you realign or realign yourself or be in alignment to what it is you want to do. If you're not, then this will inspire you to do that. The process is similar to like tuning an instrument in tuning instruments in an orchestra, just being in harmony with the music. So the instrument being your body, being your mind, your emotional self, your mental self, and your spirit. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions are a part of that, and if it'll tune you to a life that you want. The process of aligning yourself is not a major project that you need to be overwhelmed with, okay? It's not something that you have to be perfect at. You'll eventually get it. You will follow those breadcrumbs that will present itself to you as you're doing all of this. And so it's not about being perfect. It's about doing. It's just taking those small baby steps and just go along the way and just keep going. It's not going to be a straight line. You're going to be zigzagging. You might have a periods of time where it feels like it's at a pause. So those moments are just integration periods. So just know that it's never going to be looking perfect, and it's not going to be totally straightforward, easy peasy, and with no monkey wrenches in the mix. Just know that there's going to be some stumbling blocks. There's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be a learning, just a learning process for you to figure out what is working for you. So this is basically a self-directed process that will be ongoing through your journey. And, just as you fine-tune it, you'll, along the way. So the 3 areas of focus are shifting from the head to the heart, right? Second is taking care of your body. And third is nourishing your spirit. So shifting from the head to the heart is by far the hardest thing to do, just because we're programmed to think. We've been societal programming, as children, we were always told that it's not safe to be in our emotional space. It's not safe to feel. It's actually bad to feel. You have to be logical. You have to think. So most of us have been programmed like that since childhood, and we've been programmed to live out of fear. Um, and just to live in our heads. And when we live in our heads, it's where the negative programming resides, and that's where that programming is installed. So, and then we've been told it's just better to be, or safer to be in your head and not in your heart. So now we have to undo all that. And so the longest journey is to go from your head to the heart. So that's where all the work is going to be, right? The heart is where the love is. It's where we naturally lived as small children, right? And but before fear set in. And in this place, everything is possible and we can't fail. As we get older, we shift into into our heads, and just because, like as I said, it's the safest place to be, and we end up doing things backwards. We are not working in a way that's congruent with the universe. So this system, the system of fear, of working in working or operating from our minds instead of our hearts, because the mind does have a place in it all. We just need to know what place it has and how to use that. It's basically, we as we get older, we have to realize that we have to switch that around and deprogram that, or just take that program out and place a new program of working from the heart. So because the old system keeps us in a place where we're so susceptible to societal programming, and we're always using our heads to think our way out of things that are or uncomfortable situations where we feel we are instead of tapping into our hearts and allowing that to guide us. So, and that's especially for men, actually. Men have, he touches on that men have been programmed or been told not to feel painful emotions, that it's not appropriate, and to not appropriate to express their deepest feelings. Our central nervous systems is based on feelings, and we are taught to ignore them. Just as women, it's looked down upon, or we get, how would you say, ostracized or made fun of because she's emotional. Oh my God, like she's overreacting, so we're not, it's looked down upon for us to even feel that. So even women are more susceptible to perform even more so in the place of the headspace. So, just keep that in mind. A lot is accessible through allowing yourself to tap into your feelings. That's why, as people that highly sensitive people, empaths, we tend to be disconnected from our body because we are feeling too much, or we're overwhelmed, and we're having this conflicting belief system that we can't be doing that. So, and when you're in the heart space, that your desire automatically arises to better your life, for yourself and for others, brings us back into balance, and it brings the creative congruency in our lives. So, and once we're grounded there, we can use our minds the way it's meant to be. And, it's the mind is a tool to use to formulate plans, to create strategies, and to gather the resources to manifest what we desire. So in our heart space, we're allowing ourselves to be creative, to feel into what we desire, and then we use our heads to execute that plan. Okay. So, and so when we move from our head to our heart, the power of the heart is free to create, to fully bloom. And it evolves to a service of expression for yourself and for others. So, the next focus is to take care of your body, right? This is your spirit's temple. It's critical to nourish your body, the body that houses your essence, your spirit. It's all a piece of a puzzle, and in order for us to function properly, for us to have balance, because we are living in this 3D experience, that's a really important and key part. So the more you take care of the many trillions of your cells, the more available you will be to pay attention to what's needed in your body, and what you need to do, how much love you have to give it, how much care you have to give it. So if you aren't taking care of those needs, then the needs of your body, your attention won't be to what you want to manifest. So it won't be free to become aware of what other things that are needed to take care and come back to balance. So this meaning your heart, your mind, and your soul. You can be the most spiritual person on the earth and be out of balance. You could be sick and tired, and most of your resources are going to be trying to get yourself back into balance, as opposed to trying to. It'll be like a perpetual pattern of kind of like a cha-cha dance, where your attention's being redirected to taking care of yourself, and that, as opposed to living a life of congruency and alignment. So, so the basics of keeping taking care of your body is, you have to give. This is from what the author says, and I'll also kind of interject what my feelings are. And one other thing too is that when you're not in alignment, your motivation is not all there. So you're motivated, you know what you have to do, but then it's like you're so tired, and you just are feeling sick, and so it's like it's kind of a constant struggle. So, few tips that he gives is to give your body a primarily alkaline diet. So living like basically add a lot of veggies to your diet. So if you're a meat eater, do it consume that in moderation, but make sure that primarily it's what that you have in your diet are living organic plant-based foods. He says that you have to also remember that 65% of your body is water, so drink plenty of that. Also, you're also an electrical being, so you need the combination of the two to make sure that your chi is running at its best and optimal performance. He says that the high pH water is best, and it's about like a 9.5% being optimal. And there's many tools that you can do with that, or to achieve a 9.5 alkaline. And there's also what you can do too is you can buy strips like these strips that'll measure your acidity levels and your alkaline levels, so you can kind of gauge how alkaline you are. And he says it's also important to move. In order to generate energy, you need to move, because your body actually does generate electricity. So, and it also generates energy. Those are the most basics of taking care of your body. If you can do that, that definitely take care of, bring you back to balance, basically. He goes on to say that the recommended activity is to go out in nature. The more you go out in nature, the more you nourish your body and your spirit. So it's kind of like a double whammy there. You are nourishing both your body and your spirit. He suggests walking in a city park if you're in a city, going around the block if you are, not near a park. Go for a run. Go for, do a preferred activity that's outside. Sometimes that's not possible, but just as long as you're doing some kind of movement, it's very helpful. He suggests that, he suggests to leave your phone at home, but in this day and age, just put it on vibrate or put it on silent or do not disturb, just in case. So this keeps you connected with your true self and helps quiet the chattering mind. This is what I call a active meditation. And it just connects you to the deep forces of, what's created all of that beauty. You just appreciate being out and filling the air, just feeling and breathing the air, and being surrounded by nature. Next is nourishing the spirit. So you don't have to adhere to a religious or spiritual faith to master this, or to master the creation frequency. You'll recognize the deeper dimensions to consciousness in life if you accept the universal truths, the 4 universal truths that we discussed in the last step, which would have been the last week, 2 weeks ago, like week 4. This is where you discover who you truly are, and you need to definitely be still and quiet in your mind so that you can connect to this deeper sense of consciousness, but you can do it in whatever way works for you, really. It's important to nourish that part of yourself just so you can raise that frequency. So that's why meditation is key. if you can, take 5 minutes of meditation. I always advocate, and I'm a huge proponent of connecting to your higher self or connecting to God's source, plugging in, even if it's for 3 minutes. Doing that, that'll definitely raise your frequency. And if you do that daily, it'll build a momentum, so to speak, and you'll see the changes shift a lot faster. It's important to connect to your own spirit, just to get still and quiet, and so that clarity can come into play here, and so that you can be in deeper connection with your intuition. So just think about, who are you? You just when you're contemplating and you're going for those walks, you can also think about who am I? Are we our body? Am I my body? Am I my given name? Personality traits. Are you your psychological scars and wounds, which life has given you, or others have inflicted upon you? Are you your fears and your prejudices, right? That we've learned from culture? Are we our achievements and passions that we've accumulated? Or are we our hard-won wisdom that we've learned throughout our years? So you might be all of these things, but they're not the deepest part of who you are. So behind it all, there is a deeper essential self which is referred to as a soul, or the true self. So this is what you're looking to connect to. So you need to connect to the self, the true self, in order to activate that creation frequency. And so it's key to tap into that. So you can nourish your soul in many ways. You can, but before we go into that, I want to touch on what the author had touched on, with being that there's 3 fundamental commonalities among all religions. Before I even go further into this, God is love, serve others, and we are all one. So it's important for you to choose whatever resonates for you. Like I said, you don't have to have like a religious faith or have a spiritual practice. You have to go with what works for you and what resonates for you. So if you already have a religious faith or spiritual practice, then great. You can find nourish your spirit there. You can use prayer, you can use meditation, contemplation, and other ancient spiritual arts to do that. And these are all powerful ways to connect to source. And spending time in the beauty of the natural world nourishes your body as well, as I mentioned before. Other activities that he suggests is like playing with children. It raises your frequency. Being with loved ones raises your frequency. Hugs. You can do yoga, laughing, just being surrounding people that make you laugh, or in